And you know what? Because I did all of that, the buyer really knew and appreciated that. So I'm pretty sure that buyer is also my client, even though I represented the seller.
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. Listen, we believe every agent should make a minimum of $100,000 per year, and we're on a mission to make this happen. We've already helped over 100 agents achieve this with our coaching. So if you want to fast track your business growth, get to your first $100,000 in GCI or add another $100,000 in GCI using social strategies, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com, or you can just click the link in the description below. Also, just make sure to follow us, hit that subscribe button, and if you get any value from this at all, please tell a friend and leave us a review. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Unless you've got any other top tips, I wanted to roll into your second one, which again, I know everyone listening to this is like Joey, crushing out all this money, billionaire almost over it. In a couple of years, everyone wants to know, Joey, your top tips for getting listings, especially in this market, because they're a motherfucker. We've got our own little strategies, but we want to hear yours.
Getting listings is so hard. So I will say this before I dive into that. Whether you want to get listings or get buyers, it all depends on the market. I always tell people, don't chase listings if the market changes, and representing buyers is really, because in my first couple of years in business, the market wasn't as hot, and I repped a lot of buyers, and I remember getting credits and negotiating inspections. And that's what I truly love. Like, I really love representing buyers. But if you're a good buyer's agent and you're doing it long enough, those buyers will turn to sellers, and then more sellers will see you and then reach out to you to sell. So the listings will come with time. Don't be afraid to represent buyers, because you can learn a lot. Also, a good segue into home listings is rental listings. A lot of people don't like rentals because it's not that big of a chunk of money, but it's crazy how much connections and people and money I've made just off rental listings. I would always be, my girlfriend makes fun of me because when we're driving and we see a sign for rent and it looks like an owner wrote it, I'll call. And I'll say, hey, man, tenant pays the realtor fee. Let me vet the tenant for you, and I'll do all the marketing. I'll take free photos. I just want my sign on that lawn, and I want to meet people. And yeah, you're not going to make a lot of money from it, but you're going to meet some amazing people. Try to get as many rental listings as you can, because that will transition to list home listings. People will see your face on a sign and remember it if the sign is unique enough. And if they see it more often, they'll say, "Oh shit, this guy is actually a listing agent." People don't care if it's rentals or sales. They'll see a sign and they'll say, "I've seen that face." So it's like brand recognition, and then also meeting people, touching people, and building that value for life. I'll tell the people watching a very good story that I always tell the agents here, because I one time I had an office meeting. It was like 30 agents here. And I literally gave away a rental listing. I said, "Who wants a rental? 2 bedrooms, $1,800. And there was one realtor who was struggling. And I said, "Here, take this listing. It's straight up for you." And he's like, "Oh, I don't have time for rental listings. I'm trying to get sale listings." And it just pissed me off, because I had a guy who bought a 2-family house for me. And it was probably 2-3 years ago, where I was just really no admin, no nothing. It was just me, and I didn't have time for rentals. But I did the rental anyway because I knew the importance, and I built my career off of it. So I put up a 2-bedroom, 1-bath rental on the second floor of this 2-family house, $1,800. I got 1,000 phone calls, and I said, "You know what? Screw it. Let's do an open house for the rental." And then it was 6 to 8 o'clock at night. And I went there, and I stood there, and I opened the door, and I just let everybody in. And one of the people that came was this young girl named Michelle, who came and said, "Hey, I want to see the apartment. But the problem is I have a very old golden retriever." And I said, "Okay." She's like, "It's 8 o'clock. Do you mind if I live the next town over? Can I go get the dog and come back and see if he'll come up the stairs?" And I said, "No problem." She goes and gets this dog. He has arthritis on his elbows. Can't go up the stairs. And I'm bullshitting with her. I'm like, "I'm really sorry this doesn't work out. Maybe I could help you find something else." And this is a rental. And she's like, well, I'm considering buying. I'm like, okay, what do you have right now? She goes, I have to sell my house in Elmwood Park first. I said, no, I could do that. I could help you sell your house. And it turns out it was her father's house. He passed away and she inherited the house, but she didn't want to stay in the house because it reminded her of her father. So I said, no problem. I'll help you sell the house. I put the house up on the market. During that process, she got life insurance money. Her father had a life insurance policy she didn't even know about. So her and her sister each received a large sum of money, and they both ended up buying a house, each of them. And then I sold the house that her father gave her. And in that entire process, their grandmother passed away. And I ended up selling her grandmother's house. And ever since then, I think she has referred me like 7 people. I'm not even kidding. And this is all from a $1,800 rental. And I have many stories like that, but I think a lot of people just don't realize they only look at the big check. They don't take a step back and look at like all these little things that matter that build up a proper listing agent career.
So what you're talking about there, Joey, is building a strong foundation and really understanding the fundamentals of the business. And also at the same time, coming from a place of contribution instead of just chasing the check, right? Yeah. Like, because if you never did that rental, you would have never met this great woman. And if you never took the extra 15 or 30 minutes of staying there for her to realize that her golden retriever can't make it up the stairs, you would have never had the opportunity to list her house, her grandma's house, and everything else that went along with it.
Yeah, I mean, real estate's like a tree, and you have a good foundation, and every single thing that you do grows more roots and branches, and it really is pretty spirally. I mean, if you're good at what you do and you never chase money, you do everything out of like from a place of retribution from your heart. The money will come to you. I promise.
Yeah, I mean, it's that long-term game as well. Like you've said this multiple times already. It's like, I just want to get out there, meet people, build a network, and it's just like, I just want to I'll have my face on the board so more people know me. I don't particularly care about the money. Like, you are blatantly also a very long-term thinker. It's like, eventually I'm getting these motherfuckers. Like, eventually these fucking guys are coming.
Honestly, even to this day, I just, because we pay for lead generation for the agents in the office. And I swear I got this lead and it was $160,000 just for a condo. And nobody wanted the lead.
I don't get that, man. I still don't understand that shit.
I called the lead and I showed her a condo. This doesn't have a good story, honestly. She showed her the condo and she didn't like it, and I haven't heard from her. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. My point is, like, no matter how much real estate you're selling and how much money you're making, even the rentals, even the small stuff, it all counts because that person that you're helping might come back on the line and refer you somebody in the future.
Yeah. And here's one funny transition that we're kind of going through, and it came across our board, and Peter's jumped at the opportunity, but it's like normal price point, Boca, you're looking at say 400, give or take, but around and about. And this big boy listings come on, it's a bit over 4 million, right? And it's like, okay, it's a big chunk of change, and she wants them to buy after it, and it's like, okay. And then like now through going into this process, and we're not there yet, and it's like the caliber of kind of agent and like the stuff they require, like the maintenance on a deal of that size is crazy in comparison with like a normal price point house, right? Yeah. Like price point house, like, hey, I want to buy this house. Oh, it's been on the market for 37 seconds. And it's like, someone's already bought it, right? When these big boy deals, it's like, okay, you make 200 grand off that one deal, but it's like, it might take 18 months to sell.
Yeah.
How many, and there's a lot that can go wrong between now and then on those deals. One of the things we hear all the time with people that come and pay for our coaching is, I want to go into luxury. Why? Because I want bigger commission checks. Right. Have you ever thought about, have you spoken to anyone that's done luxury? No. Do you have any idea of like all the different shit that goes on, like all the marketing you've got to do to sell these properties? Like, you've got to invest a lot of money to try and sell these homes, right? So like that home might give you 200K check. You might have to fork out 20, 30 grand on marketing over the next 18 months to sell it, right? Do you have 20 or 30 grand? No. Right. Let's leave the luxury thing. Let's walk away from that for now, shall we? And
Yeah,
it's
100%.
people don't understand with real estate. There's layers to this, and like you can do whatever you want. Like I'm not trying to pigeonhole people at all. I'm just saying like you got to understand the process, and at different levels, the different processes. And I think personally, the side of the fence that I'm on, go mid market. Yes, you'll have more competition, but like you can really get a solid number of deals coming through constantly. Like you can really build up, a nice flow. Rather than the luxury stuff, okay, you get paid a lot more, but there's a lot more risk, a lot more going into those deals.
Here's what I'll say about the luxury market, because I've sold $3 million homes. I've sold 2.5, 1.5. I've sold 5 brand new constructions totaling 15 million, whatever. The one thing I'll say is that the people that are at that level in their lives where they're purchasing a home like that, I would say majority of them are very, very educated. And unless you're also an educated person of a comparable level, I don't see anybody buying from you or taking you seriously. I remember I was there. When I first started, I had a little Infinity and Aldo shoes and no swag and a terrible watch and it was like all that stuff is not that important, because if you're a good realtor, you're a good realtor. But I think luxury buyers and luxury sellers can spot out. I don't know. Are we allowed to like use slang? I call them blowjobs. Those a luxury seller and a luxury buyer will spot out a blowjob and either see one house with them and ghost them, or never work with them at all. My advice is gain the knowledge, gain the experience. Don't do it from a place of like, I want the commission check, and it'll come to you.
Yeah. Also, the other good thing about luxury, though, is does seem to be once you're in and once you got a few under your belt, like you getting other ones does seem to be easier.
Great. It's a great check. It is a great check. I had a luxury check. It was like $90,000, but oh my God, what I had to do for it. It was a divorce. It was a beautiful house on a lake. They were not communicating, and the kids, like, were. I'll put it to you this way: home inspection came. They had a party. The kids right in the house before the home inspection. They had weed everywhere. Used condoms in the theater. There was a theater in the house. It was like disgusting. I had to pay to have the house cleaned. Then, at the 2 days before the closing, I was like, let me go to this house, because it was in shambles when I went last time. The floors were scuffed. The walls were scuffed. The landscaping was disgusting, and everything was still in the house. I got a dumpster. I paid a landscaper. I repainted the living room. I had to redo the floors. I probably spent 12 grand of my own money just to get that closed. If you're a blowjob who happens to get a listing like that, you don't have that money. And that's not closing. On top of that, the reason that house sold is because the buyer flew out from California, and I met them at the house, and I explained to that buyer, who was an engineer, that the house had a poured concrete foundation, the type of well, the type of septic, the 400 amp electrical service in a residential house, just all the way the house was built, and me explaining that to him really is what sold him. And honestly, it helped hold up the transaction, because so much shit went wrong during the transaction. And you know what? Because I did all of that, the buyer really knew and appreciated that. So I'm pretty sure that buyer is also my client, even though I represented the seller.
Yeah, that's just great. That's just being a knowledgeable agent, right? And that's what you came down to. It's like you got to know your shit, because they're going to pick you apart if you don't. Oh, and by the way, if you're listening to this and you aren't making at least $100,000 per year in GCI and you're looking for a predictable system to get you there, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.